Hey everyone, welcome to This Week at Apollo. Today we are talking to Aaron, one of the junior engineers on our team. We talk about the Pro Beta, we talk about testing and manufacturing process at Apollo, and we get into the Light/Rover/Go, whatever you want to call it. Super excited for this conversation and hope you guys are too.
Maybe you try it. Maybe you.
I'm joined here today by Aaron, mechanical engineer. What's going on, Aaron? How are you?
Pretty good.
So, what have you been up to this week? What's top of mind for you right now?
Yeah, so this week I guess we are working a lot on the Pro Beta. So yesterday we had our first group session. So I think there was about 6 or 9 people part of the group. And we went over a bunch of questions with them. We discussed some of the issues they had, some of the fixes that we might be able to implement, app-wise, hardware-wise, what they liked, what they didn't like. It went really, really well.
Yeah.
Everyone were super engaged.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So how many people were participating in that focus group? For the first one, at least.
I think there was 7.
7 people, okay.
Yeah, and then I think if I'm not wrong, I think like 24 different sessions that we're going to have in total with the US and Canada
It's a lot of sessions.
It's a lot of sessions.
It's a lot of sessions, yeah.
A lot of info to compile, and it's great. It's super, super great for us. A lot of different viewpoints on what should be done, so
Right.
I love it.
Yeah, I think the beta is super interesting because it's a hardware beta, and I think generally you associated betas with some software program or something like that. But for us, I think we're trying to do something different, trying to get as much feedback as possible, and really, the lessons from the city. So I guess like for you, what are some of the benefits that you're seeing from that interaction with customers, with at least from that first focus group that you had?
Yeah, so I guess there's like little design things that we considered, but we didn't know were that important for the user. Let's say just like the sweep of the handlebar, or like the way the folding mechanism of like latch and stuff like that.
Right.
It was really interesting to hear like some things that were not like afterthought, but we did think about that. We did design them. We didn't put a lot of emphasis on them. Like the beta people were like, yes, we love these features. It was cool, like seeing just all the small details add up. And things that they like, and also things that we never even thought about. They would bring it up, like some issues. I like none of them come on top of my head, but like we had some issues, and it was great. It was great to hear it from them. Yeah,
because I guess right now the design process on the scooters, we kind of have like a set of criteria that we're trying to fill, right? And we try to do our best to guess what our customers want. But I think one of the things we've been doing a lot better is trying to get feedback. I think the pros are a very natural progression in that regard. So it's really cool to see that, these participants are going to have the ability to actually impact the production as well, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah, so that's one thing I've been working on. The other thing is I'm working on the Light, Rover, Go. I don't know, there's a bunch of names. I have a code name for it. I won't even mention it
You're not going to tell us what the code name is? No? Okay.
But internally, we actually have a code name for it. We're working really, really hard on that. I've done like 5 different iterations of FEA already on it. Where there's some things that you guys are probably going to see in 2 weeks, maybe, when Randy does a video of changes. I don't know when, but we're adding some extra features and hopefully keeping the cost the same. I think the cost will stay the same, but it's going to dramatically change the front part of the scooter.
Yeah. So let's talk about FEA.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. Maybe some people might not know what that is.
Yeah.
So what does that process look like, and why do we use it, and why is it important?
Okay, so FEA is all of our scooters are drawn 3D on the computer. So like I can go around and I can look at every single part, every single screw, and it's all super, super precise because we use that CAD afterwards to like do G-code for the mold or like machine and etc.
Right.
So since we already have that, I'm able to take components and then apply loads. So like let's say you're riding your scooter and you're weighing 100 pounds and you hit a bump. I can see, like, well, that's probably going to be like a 200-pound or 140-kilogram force. And then I can simulate that into the computer, see what areas are weak.
Right.
And then from there, I can make changes on the CAD, and it's like an iteration process where I do FEA, I make changes. I do FEA, I make changes.
Sure.
And then the other ways around, too, like if I want to remove weight, so I remove material, I do FEA, make sure it's not too weak. It's still strong. It's never too strong. And then you just like do it back and forth. So
so I guess it's like the first layer, right? Like you're doing a simulation to see, okay, well, in this sort of very controlled computer environment, how does the scooter react or withstand certain forces, right? And then we take that, and that informs essentially how we produce the scooter, informs the design of the scooter, and then the second step is actually, rig testing and then real life testing.
Exactly.
Right?
Because before we would have had to do a sample every single iteration, and it's just it's too time consuming, too costly.
Yeah. So you're working on the Light I'm just gonna call it the light for the rest of
Yeah.
the video.
Yeah.
Even that's kind of what we've gotten used to calling it. Even though I really like the name Rover as well. Do you have a favorite name for the
I like the
new
Go.
scooter? You
The
like
Go
the
is
Go?
the Go is my favorite
Yeah,
name.
I think it's a cool name
Yeah.
as well. And I think the community poll that we had,
Yeah.
it's like 57 people, 57%. Sorry that
That's
were pro
solid.
Go.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be cool. Okay, so what have you got on your plate? Like, what's happening with the development of the light right now?
So the light right now we've received our second sample,
Okay.
and so far it's really good, like really great. And then we are trying to have samples at the end of the year because we want to produce. I don't know if I can say that. I know we have a very specific timeline on when we want to produce the light,
Yeah.
and there are certain holidays that might get in the way, like here or abroad, and so we have very critical timeline that we need to follow. So we're trying to make it that our next sample is like the final sample. So I'm spending a lot of time just analyzing the CAD and doing FEA, just making sure that next sample is perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, right now I'm making changes on
Okay.
that 3D model that we're
Right.
talking about.
Yeah, because I know that they're still trying to cut weight. We're still trying to
Yeah.
find like the perfect sort of recipe or the perfect mix of
Yeah.
ingredients to make the
Exactly.
perfect scooter.
Yeah.
How much has the pro process helped with the development of the light? Because the pro really was a two and a half year
Incredible
process, right?
incredible because there's different, I don't know, again, like I don't want to be too technical, there's different loading scenarios that I can apply, like braking, acceleration, hitting bumps, etc. And we learned a lot with the pro. Like we would do something wrong and then we're like, we'd do a test and put it on the rig and it would not break the same way.
Right.
And after like many iterations, we realized like, oh, actually there's like this other factor is like coming into play. So now, now I'm doing the light. There's a lot of knowledge, now I know like, okay, I need to add a force here to actually simulate it properly. So we're a lot more precise in our
Right.
results, and it's allowing us to reduce the amount of samples. Because the pro we had many samples. We're
Yeah.
trying to reduce them with the light to like 3 or 4 sample pre-production. And
Right. Yeah, and I think it's cool because we see the progress internally, at least on how much better we're getting at manufacturing and producing our own scooters.
Yeah.
Like we're no longer doing the OEMs. We're no longer just rebranding old scooters. They're built in-house, designed in-house, manufactured by us, and that entire process. I guess from when you joined, like you were there kind of from the beginning. Like
Yeah.
how much improvement have you seen in that
Oh, it's
process?
insane. I joined in, and the city was about to be produced, and no FEA had been done on the city.
Right.
So I did like the final FEA, made some last minute changes. We had to reopen some mold because there were components that were gonna fail, and
Yeah.
thankfully I came in at the perfect time,
Yeah.
fixed it, and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But I came in when like we had issues with the Phantom and everything, so everything was pretty
Everything was-
bad.
everything was great.
Yeah, like I don't
Yeah,
want to.
yeah.
Yeah, everything was pretty bad. So,
Mhm.
and now, now our
much
team
better.
has grown, and
Yeah.
it's our iteration process is much better. We have protocols in place, like very strict. Like, so internally we have a protocol document where we have like minimum factors of safety to meet for different parts and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
it's kind of like, yeah, it's protecting us in a way where we know from experience we've tested something else that we do. Sorry, I'm going
Yeah, no, it's
completely
okay.
off
It's okay.
track. But we've been buying other companies' scooter, putting them on rig,
Right.
and seeing where they fail and at how many kilometers they fail,
And comparing it to ours.
comparing it to ours, and making sure that ours is better than everyone
Yeah.
else. And
Yeah,
so
so I
far
wanted to-
we're really good. Like,
I wanted to talk about industry standards. So
Yeah.
there tends to not really be industry
not,
standards
yeah.
for some of this testing, right? So I guess for people who don't know, the rig test is just we have the scooter perform a certain action over as many cycles as possible until it fails, right? So generally we see in the industry some of these scooters are failing after, like, I don't know, like how many
1,000
cycles?
kilometers, 1,000 kilometers.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So we are trying to design something that is going to go for 10,000 kilometers, and we're testing it to be for 10,000 kilometers. So that's like hundreds of thousands of cycles, right?
Yeah, and that can take weeks, some time of testing.
Mm-hmm.
We did just buy a new testing rig that's ultra violent, like it's
Very aggressive.
very aggressive.
Yeah.
So we're able to like iterate faster in terms
Mhm.
of testing. It does not represent real world testing,
Right.
but the whole scooter is just everything is moving.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Right.
But that allows us to see like weakness faster that sometimes the FEA might not be able to bring, like
Mhm.
welds. Yeah, I've been trying to do weld FEA sometimes. It's impossible. There's so many factors, especially with aluminum.
Right.
Like it's impossible. So
Yeah.
especially like we see a lot of weld breaking on the rig test where I can't see it in FEA.
Right. Which I think is why it's important that we have these three stages of testing, right? We
Yeah.
have the FEA, we have the actual rig testing, and then we have the real life testing that we do
Exactly.
with actual riders as well.
Yeah.
And then the idea is that the product just gets better through that iteration process as we collect more and more information.
And also just want to specify, like, the beta testing, we don't use that to test the safety of the scooter.
Right.
It's to test more like
The experience.
the experience, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we make sure, like, we have a lot of FEA, we have a lot of rig testing done before the beta program, and in terms of safety, mechanical wise, it's safe. It's already safe by the time it reaches the beta user.
yeah.
It's more the experience and all those little accessories that we add. That's more what the beta program is.
Cool. And final question, I think you've only been in one video. There was an engineering video that you talked about. I can't remember what it was. Maybe you talked about the controller. And there's some
The throttle?
throttle, right? And some members of the community, I remember in our AMAs, were asking for the guy with the beard. Any potential to see you in a video in the future other than this one?
Sure, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah? Why not?
I don't know. I'm a little camera shy.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're natural. You're natural.
I'm a natural,
Cool.
yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, yeah.
All right, take care.
See ya.